are these people? There seem to be multiple convoys all kind of converging in Washington.
So right now, as far as convoys that are really put together, there's 4 or 5 of them. The people organizing them range everything from, genuinely a disgruntled trucker to one is being heavily promoted by a gubernatorial candidate in Maryland. Others are being promoted by people who essentially have turned their Facebook group pages into real world events. And those events are getting help from major organizations like Children's Health Defense, for example, which is very big on the anti-vaccine movement.
And some of these truckers, including him, are saying that they're inspired by the Ottawa convoy protest. What do we know about them?
What we know about them is they ran a Facebook group page called Convoy to DC 2022. They were suspended from Facebook. Facebook said that the group violated its policies against QAnon conspiracy content. A lot of those organizers since folded into People's Convoy, was another kind of similar sentiment type of group. They've come together and collaborated. They've since received high levels of support from anti-vaccine movement organizations and groups and individuals, many of the same which contributed to the anti-vaccine mandate protests that happened in January in Washington, D.C. So if we look at that protest and sort of the makeup of the crowd, the makeup of the people who were funding it, filing permits for it, a lot of those same forces and these same networks of online communication are also in mix here, trying to propel this convoy forward. The thing is, the anti-vaccine movement in America has attracted, a whole host of far right elements. You've had some fringe groups or extreme groups like the Proud Boys showing up to anti-vaccine protests in the US. You've also had adherents to conspiracy theory movements like QAnon show up to anti-vaccine movement events. So to think that those forces might not participate in what's happening with convoys in the US currently it would be a little bit naive, but they certainly don't represent the totality of everybody who might be participating in this. The main risk that I see here is that among this broader movement, uh, the people that I see participating in this, at least the full stretch of it, going from California to DC, are going to be among some of the most hardcore supporters. Making this journey is going to take, a week and a half by organizers' estimates. It's likely going to be very expensive. People are taking time off work, or maybe they're retired, presumably. And this is a big deal. It's a huge commitment. And and even though the organizers of People's Convoy say that they want participants to be peaceful and that they plan to disperse before they actually go, get into DC, it's hard for me to really think that the people who would put so much on the line to participate in something like this would feel satisfied with that kind of conclusion to the convoy. So what those risks are isn't readily apparent yet. I imagine as this convoy gets closer to DC, we'll have a better idea of what kind of risk and what kind of groups or individuals might be coming into the mix, especially in that latter stage. When it starts getting into the Northeast and it's more populated areas, more people might join in. But really, I think the rogue element here and the risk here is, for people who are diehard true believers doing this because they think what happened in Canada was so fantastic and amazing, where are they going to draw their lines? Are people going to be overly disruptive? Are people going to be violent? Will extremist groups show up? A lot of these are questions that we don't have answers to yet.
What do you think it is about the Canadian convoy protest, I guess, is that has inspired them?
What I've seen in American convoys, as far as why they are inspired by Canadian convoys, largely has to do with kind of pre-existing anti-government attitudes. Not that they hate America fundamentally, but they hate the way that it's being run currently, with a Democrat in office particularly. So what a lot of them seem to, receive from coverage coming to America that they were reading in America of the Canadian protests, really kind of mirrored the type of disruption and chaos that they, deeply fantasize about being able to pull off themselves. They are angry at the government, they're angry at society, and a lot of these folks would like nothing better than to send, the proverbial middle finger up to the government and to that society, and to really kind of exert a show of force in a way to demand that their concerns be treated as the prominent ones. So, when they looked to Canada and they saw protesters, protesting Trudeau, a lot of these audiences, I think, saw the same kind of sentiments that they feel towards Joe Biden on display, and have sought to mimic it. And I also think the fact that what happened in Canada became an international spectacle has also made it really attractive to organizers and institutions who might throw money or rhetorical support behind this.